Chapter 11. Personality refers to the unique pattern of psychological and behavioral characteristics by which each person can be compared and contrasted with other people, period. The four main theoretical approaches to personality are psychodynamic, trait, social cognitive, and humanistic approaches. The psychodynamic approach. Pioneered by Freud, this assumes the personality arises out of unconscious psychological processes that interact to determine our thoughts, feelings, and behavior, period. According to Freud's psychoanalytic theory, personality has three components: the ego, or rather the id, which operates according to the pleasure principle, the ego, which operates according to the reality principle, and the superego, which internalizes sci- uh, sci- society's rules and values. Defense mechanisms. The ego uses defense mechanisms to prevent unconscious conflicts among these components from becoming conscious and causing anxiety or guilt. Freud proposed that the focus of conflict changes as the child passes through the stages of psychosexual development. These include the oral stage, the anal stage, and the phallic stage, during which the Oedipal or the electro complex occurs, the latency period, and the genital stage. After Freud theorists. After Freud, the theorists were Jung, Adler, and Horney. They tended to downplay the role of instincts in the unconscious, emphasizing instead the importance of conscious processes, ego functions, and the social and cultural factors. Horney also challenges the male-oriented nature of Freud's original theory. Neo-Freudians. Current psychodynamic theories reflect the Neo-Freudians' emphasis on family and social relationships. According to object relations and attachment theorists, personality development depends mainly on the nature of the early interactions between individuals and their caregivers. The psychodynamic approach is reflected in many forms of psychotherapy, but critics fault the approach for its lack of scientific base and for its view of human behavior as driven by forces that are difficult or impossible to measure. The trait approach. What personality traits are most basic? Trait approach. Personality traits that appear at varying strengths in different people and guide their thoughts, feelings, and behavior all believe that personality is created by a small set of central traits and a large number of secondary traits in each individual. Five basic dimensions of personality. The five-factor or Big Five personality model. 1. Openness. 2. Conscientiousness. 3. Extroversion. 4. Agreeableness. And 5. Neuroticism. Have been found in many different cultures and may arise partly from an inherited differences in temperament and other biological factors that provide the raw material for which each personality is molded by experience. These biological factors are the focus of trait theories proposed by Eisenach and by Gray. Criticism of trait approach. The trait approach has been criticized for being better at describing personality than explaining it, for failing to consider mechanisms that motivate behavior, and for underemphasizing the role of situational factors. Nevertheless, the trait approach, particularly the five-factor personality model, currently dominates the field. This social cognitive approach, how do we learn our personalities? The social cognitive approach assumes that personality is a unique set of patterns of thinking and behavior that a person acquires by learning and then displays in a particular situation. The social cognitive approach expanded non-traditional behavioral approaches by emphasizing the role of cognitive factors such as observational learning in personality development. Rotter's theory focuses on expectancies, the guide behavior, and it generated interest and accesses general beliefs about whether rewards occur because of personal efforts, internal control, or external control. Bandura theory. Bandura believes that personality develops largely through cognitively mediated learning, including observational learning. He sees personality as reciprocally determined by interactions among cognition, environmental stimuli, and behavior. Self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is the belief in one's ability to accomplish a given task and is an important determinant of behavior. Ms. Shield emphasizes the importance of situations and their interactions with cognitive person variables in determining behavior. According to Ms. Shield, we must look at consistencies and inconsistencies. The social cognitive approach led to new forms of psychological treatment and many other applications. However, critics of this approach consider even its latest versions to be incapable of capturing all the unlearned factors that some psychologists see as important in personality. The humanistic approach. Is everyone basically good? The humanistic approach, also called the phenomenological approach, is based on the assumption that personality is determined by the unique ways that each individual views the world. These perceptions form a personal version of reality and guide people's behavior as they strive to reach self-actualization, their fullest potential. Rogers theory. Rogers believed that personality development is driven by an innate actualizing tendency, but also that one's self-concept is shaped by social evaluations. We propose that the conditions are what parents and others impose interfere with the personal growth and can lead to psychological problems. Maslow's theory. Maslow saw self-actualization as the highest in the hierarchy of needs. Personality development is healthiest, he said, when people have a growth orientation rather than a deficiency orientation. Change gross to growth orientation. Humanistic approach has been used in certain forms of psychotherapy. The humanistic approach has been used in certain forms of psychotherapy, in parent training, and in group experiences designed to enhance personal growth. This approach has considerable popularity, but has been faulted for being too idealistic, for failing to explain personality development, and for being vague and unscientific, and for underplaying cultural differences in ideal personalities. Independent self-system versus collectivist cultures. Many people in the individualist cultures of North America and Europe are taught to believe in the importance of self-worth and personal distinction. This independent self-system contrasts with the interdependent self-system that is often studied or found in collectivist cultures in which the self is defined mainly in relation to family or other groups. Contrasting definitions of the self in different cultures and among males versus females tend to exert differing influences on the development of personality. Research suggests that temperament and in childhood may influence accessing personalities. How do psychologists measure personality? Personality is usually assessed through some combination of life outcomes, observer ratings, situational tests, and self-reports. Personality assessments must be both reliable and valid. Projective personality measures versus non-projective. Projective personality measures present ambiguous stimuli in an attempt to tap unconscious personality characteristics. Two projective personality tests are the TAT and the Rorschach. In general, projective personality measures are less reliable and valid than non-projective personality measurements. Non-projective, also known as objective measures, usually present clear, direct items. Their scores can be compared with norm groups. The NEO, PI, R, and the MMPR are examples of non-projective personality measures. Non-projective personality measures are often used to identify people which are best suited for certain occupations. Users must be aware of the test limitations and take care not to violate the rights of test respondents.